It's unprofessional to wear a bathing suit. Wholesome. Part of my job is to visit foster children monthly, and ideally to build positive relationships with them. This can be hard because I have a limited amount of time. They are scared of new people, and they get bored real fast. A couple years ago, one of my favorite foster families got a pool, and all the kids could talk about was showing me their new pool. I mentioned in passing to a supervisor on my way to the visit that I was looking forward to playing with the kids in the pool. The supervisor made a face of concern. I told her that I'd gone out and bought a particularly covered up and dowdy suit for this visit. She said that regardless of the style of the suit, it would be unprofessional of me to wear a swimsuit on the job. The kids, all 5 of them, were really broken-hearted when I told them I wasn't allowed to wear a bathing suit. That was quickly alleviated when I jumped into the pool wearing my office outfit. I don't know if it ever got back to the supervisors, but I did end up being that family's favorite social worker. Tell them the truth. You mean how you were fired because of misconduct? Okie dokie. To be clear, this isn't my story, it's my sister's. She randomly told me this last Friday when I dropped by for dinner, and I just thought it'd fit this sub. Her previous employment was with a branch of a Swedish retail store. They sell expensive, luxurious furniture. When my sister was working there, they had about 20 people working the floor, the highest being the regional manager. He's also the only Swedish in the store. 5 people working in the higher office and the rest were floor attendants. Each person in this higher office covered a different part of the store. There were IIRC, an accountant, a biller, an HR, a purchaser, and a head office, to whom basically everyone reported. My sister was the biller. I never cared enough to ask her what exactly her job was. The purchaser, let's call him Jack, was a competent guy. He did his job to near perfection and would often help others with theirs, as well as went out on the floor interacting with people. But, apart from the high office, floor attendants resented him. Not publicly, but my sister was paying enough attention to notice. Nobody would say anything though. They just said he's creepy. Until one day, when the boss, the Swedish guy, came in. He would often work remotely and only came in during disarrayed hours. Apparently, when he's about to enter the store, he saw, from outside the window, Jack pestering a female floor attendant. She was clearly very annoyed. The boss observed for a while and eventually caught the guy placing his hand on her thighs. He immediately called the office, all 5 of them, into a meeting, and asked Jack to clarify his intentions. Jack said they're just playing around. Now, as sickening as it may sound, in my country this is somewhat normal. When girls get harassed like this, it's their fault for not covering themselves properly. In these instances, people would justify the harassment and blame the victim instead. My generation is trying to reject this mindset, but some people are just built differently. But, because the boss was not from my country, he saw this as a major issue. Despite Jack trying to plead that it's nothing, he decided to launch a store-wide investigation into the high office as well, my sister included, because he thought they were covering for Jack. My sister said she actually thought she'd be fired, or at least reprimanded. She had never seen him so serious before. The result was alarming. Each and every female floor attendant, 6 or 7 of them, said they'd been pestered by Jack at least once. Some even said he touched them without consent. The boss asked why nobody stepped up. They said they were ashamed and feared retaliation. He then questioned the high office to find out that they were too busy to notice what was happening. Also, Nobody ever threatened retaliation. People just assumed there would be because it's usually what happens in my country. After a week and a half, another meeting was scheduled, in which Jack was given the option to resign or be fired. No action was taken against everyone else in the high office, but they were told, quite firmly, that this kind of neglect could never happen again. Even at that meeting, Jack still insisted that it was nothing. He'd spent the whole duration of the investigation complaining to everyone in the store, including the people he's harassed, that the boss was overreacting. People just gave him the stink eye, but he didn't seem to care. Things were quiet for a week or two, and then it got interesting. One day the head office lady received a phone call from Jack, during which he asked that they'd be his reference for his new interviews. She was taken back a bit and asked him, "You want to make us your reference?" Jack, "Yes. I believe I had done my work well enough for you guys to put on a good word, it's true. He's very efficient. In fact, they'd had a hard time finding his replacement. They ended up taking a portion of his work for months while looking for someone suitable." Head office lady, but the commotion, quote, Jack, "Oh that, I'm sure it's nothing. Just tell the truth and I think they'll understand." Head office lady, still baffled, but, Jack, "Look, I won't ask for more. If someone calls, just tell them the truth. I'm sure it's nothing." Apparently, Jack still thought if people heard about it they would agree with him. When she got off the phone, she was still stuttering. When everyone knew what happened, they were as well. Nobody knew what to do with it, so they informed their boss. He said it's fine if that's what Jack wanted. Starting the following day, he'd come to the store every day. He also instructed everyone that if it's a call about Jack, it's to be directed to him. I think I also need to mention that after almost 7 years living in Vietnam, he can speak decently enough. When the call finally came, the whole office stopped working and instead eavesdropping. There were some people from the floor as well. My sister said that they can only hear from his side of the conversation, but it's pretty easy to see the whole picture. Boss, praising Jack with words that would make even the ugliest of witches look like a fairy godmother. Quote, "Also boss, anything you'll need to worry about? Oh, it's just that incident that gave us no choice but to let him go." The other side asked something. "Boss, I'm sure he's told you, but he put his hands on one of our female employees without her consent." The other side gasped, "Okay, I imagine this one." The other side asked something. "Boss, yes, just once." He did pause at this. The other side signed in relief, "And this one?" "Boss, that I caught him. Every other instance happened without my presence." The other side asked something else. "Boss, yes. I have the meeting record in which he agreed to resign in order for us not to take further actions." The other side said something. "Boss, sure. Just contact me via this number. If you want to know anything else, I'd be happy to help." 2 days later, Jack called the head office lady again to ask if anyone contacted them for his reference. She said yes and assured him they were telling whoever called the truth about his performance. He said it's strange because he was rejected in his latest interview. I wonder what could have been the reason. Edit. Grammar. Edit 2. Okay, since some people thought the store mentioned above was IKEA, I'm just gonna say it now. It's not. Perhaps it's my choice of word. Instead of saying, retail, I should have said something else. Just know that they sell furniture. They're from Sweden and they're not IKEA. Also, my sister said the furniture was expensive and luxurious. So you're all gonna have to take her words for it. I need to do some work. Fine, I will. So I'm a security guard in a store. One of the big things about my position is that I don't work for the store itself. I work for the security division in the company. That means that I have my own manager who's separate to and out ranks any store manager. Retail is an underpaid industry. This goes for the store managers as well. This also means that a large portion of the people who accept becoming a manager do so because they're okay with a pay cut as long as they get to boss people around. This also means that store managers become angry and confused when they find out that they can't order me around, as they're literally not my boss. After a month or two, we usually come to an unspoken agreement. Life is a lot easier if we all get along. This brings me to now. We got a new store and deputy manager a couple months back. And they were the same way. First they wanted me to work on the tills so they could save money on staff, which I told them is not happening. And then they wanted me to help them out on the shop floor. Now, I do help out, usually with lifting heavy items or helping out customers. But that's part of the whole, making each other's life easier, part. Not because I have to. Both the managers didn't really seem to understand this. They wanted me to move an entire aisle of furniture, which they could do themselves but couldn't be arsed. I helped with a few, but my back was hurting at the time. So I said I couldn't do more. The deputy manager then told me that maybe if I do some work, my back would stop hurting. I then later found out that the store manager also reported me to my manager for not moving the aisle of furniture. My manager said what I said. Not my job. Do it yourself. This really pissed me off. But I took it to heart. You see, both managers didn't know that I knew they were stealing. As far as I was concerned, the company was ducking all of us. So as long as they were only taking a small amount like an energy drink or a bit of food, I didn't care. But since they wanted me to do some work, I did. I spent the next couple of days going through the last month of CCTV, burning off discs of any footage of them stealing, and meticulously making records of who, when, what, and where. Their face when my manager and their boss, the area manager, came in and said that they need a private meeting with them over some security concerns. Absolutely beautiful. I don't know what was said in the meeting or decided on. It's only a couple of days ago, and when it's on a store manager level it needs to go through multiple reviews and meetings. But they're both suddenly a lot nicer to me. TLDR managers told me, the security guard, to do some work, so I report them for stealing.